when we say presence, that yes, it requires time, but first, it requires that I value you as somebody who is a co-laborer, who I've linked up with. Literally, I value your presence in my life. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 2 of our conversation on friendship. We're talking about friendship here on the Chase Elements podcast.
Friendship.
And I just gave Jeff Wallace a menthol.
Woo, man, the sinuses are clear, like right now.
Menthol.
Yes.
Honey lemon menthol lozenge.
Yeah. Let me just tell you, the sinuses are clear, brother.
Yeah.
And
so
Brian got it. He didn't even.
That's what you hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian got it, and he didn't even have to take it. He just contact.
Well, next door they asked if we were smoking menthol cigarettes. We said no, it's fisherman friends. So, anyways, but
which is appropriate for
which
her.
is appropriate.
Yeah.
But last week we talked about let's do some setup.
Yeah.
For this friendship between the Apostle Paul and Barnabas, a friendship that really was a catalytic relationship to change the world.
Yep.
And so we kind of wrestled through 3 questions, questions that will humble us and really help adjust the posture of our heart towards authentic friendship that cares deeply about the mission of God. And so that's kind of what we did last week.
Yeah.
And then this week, it's like, okay, now we're going to go from this almost studying the scriptures and extracting these ideas from scripture to, okay, what are the practical principles of application?
Yeah.
So if last week was the theological ideas that we see, how do we apply those? What's applied theology this week? And so there are 4 characteristics of friendship.
Yeah.
And really you can trace these throughout much of the Apostle Paul's writings, whether it's him and Barnabas or his relationship with Timothy even. But there's a lot to be learned in Paul's writings on the subject of friendship. Yeah. And we just thought that's where we would head today in our conversations. What are those characteristics? Yeah.
And I love the 4 because they're super practical, but also they're intentional as well. It requires, let me say it this way, it requires a level of intentionality. So if you are wanting to know, 1, how can you be a better friend to a friend, or how do you articulate what you need from a friend? I think these 4 characteristics really kind of help set that up.
Let's start with this.
Okay.
If friendship, and when I say friendship, I don't mean just hanging out together.
Right.
I don't mean just being fishing buddies, though that's a good thing. I don't mean, coworkers who joke at the water cooler. Yeah. But authentic friendship.
Yes. Yeah.
The kind of friendship where we care for each other's souls.
Yes.
If it's not important to you, and if you don't pursue it,
right,
you'll never cultivate it.
Very much so.
There's a book. Have you ever read the book "Man's Search for Meaning" by Viktor Frankl?
No, I haven't.
So,
Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Frankl was a doctor.
Okay.
A Jewish doctor. Married, family. Ended up as the Third Reich began to take over. And put Jews in concentration camps, ended up being separated from his family, most of whom he'd never see again. Okay. Spent the next several years in a concentration camp, including Auschwitz. He was in Auschwitz for a time. Well, towards the end of the war, there was the Allied forces were pressing in. Russia was doing actually a really good job of putting the heat on Germany. And so they were taking soldiers away from the concentration camps to go to the front. Yeah. So there were people who were trying to escape, obviously. People who were prisoners in these camps were trying to get out. So Viktor Frankl, who was in relatively, for being in a concentration camp, good health. Yeah. And a few others were going to escape. Yeah. They had planned it. They had planned their route. They had it all worked out. Okay. But because he was a doctor, he had been caring for people who were sick. There's not much he could do, but he was caring for people who were sick. And he had a tuberculosis patient. Wow. Who was in the latter. It had infected his body so bad that he was just in a constant state of delirium.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Didn't make sense. It couldn't hardly talk. He was there, but he wasn't there half the time. That kind of delirium. Screaming out in pain in other times.
Wow.
And so Frankl writes in Man's Search for Meaning about how he was on the night before they were to escape, his last day in the camp.
Okay.
He made his rounds to see his patients. And he walked into this one hut, and there was this patient with tuberculosis, laid out on these wooden. It wasn't really a bed. There was no mattress.
Gurney?
It wasn't even a gurney. It was just logs.
Okay. Oh, wow.
All piled together. It's the best they could do. And he was laid out on this wooden mat, if you will. And in the midst of his delirium, he just stopped and he looked at Viktor Frankl and he go, "Are you too leaving?" And Viktor Frankl in that moment said that he would write about it, that he made the decision not to escape.
Wow.
But rather to sit at the feet of a tuberculosis patient.
Oh, wow.
And try to quiet him in his delirium, is what he wrote.
Oh, wow.
He would rather
That's powerful.
stay a prisoner and be a doctor than to escape and live on the run. Because in the camp, he could care for somebody.
Yeah. Wow.
That was his perspective. I'm not saying it was wrong to escape. That was his perspective.
Yeah.
And so I read that years ago. Jeff, it's such that Man's Search for Meaning is a book I think everybody should read. It just had such a big impact on me. And I literally wrote down in the margin of my book, or in the front of my book, excuse me, because Dr. Maxwell taught us years ago, always take notes in the front of your book, so when you pull them off your library shelf, you can see what the book's about and what you've learned from it. So I was writing in the front of the book, and I just wrote this down: to be a friend is to be both a doctor and a patient of someone's soul.
Wow.
And so I've always seen friendship.
Yeah.
Through that lens.
Yeah.
That chapter in Viktor Frankl book had such an impact on me.
Doctor and a patient.
But to see myself as, there's sometimes where I'm going to be the doctor and I'm going to be caring for your soul more than you're caring for. You're going to have the role of the patient.
Yeah.
There's going to be days where I'm the patient.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to need the caring for more so. But we are in this relationship.
Yeah.
Where we don't just wear one hats, but we're gonna ultimately wear them both over and over again. But we're bound together in this idea that we care for one another.
Yeah.
Like we literally are going, when I say care, I don't mean we just feel. No, we care. We actively care for one another.
Yeah.
And so friends are doctors and patients of each other's souls. That's my favorite definition of friendship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Love
so
that.
with these characteristics were written with that kind of idea in mind.
Yeah. I love that.
And so if that's fair,
we can
that's
jump
perfect. Into these
Yeah. I love that because basically what you're saying is that friendship, that bond, that doctor-patient bond is transformative. It's not transactional, right? And so it's something that lasts. So I love that. And so I think, as we jump into these four characteristics, setting that stage, keeping that in mind, what does that look like? And so for number one, I'll read it. We have friends prioritize presence over productivity. They value being over doing. And you have to carve out margin to be present. And they talk about that uninterrupted time together. But the statement is that friends prioritize presence over productivity.
Yeah, that Viktor Frankl was like, a productive thing would be to leave.
Right.
I'm not going to probably cure it. I have no medicine. I can't cure this guy, but I'm going to be present.
Yeah. And I think, man, that when I read that, Brent, I think that requires a lot of intentionality. But it first requires a desire for there to be a long-lasting commitment, right? I think that when you think about valuing that presence, being present requires a time commitment. Yeah. And if I care deeply for my friend, then I'm committed to being present. Good, bad, not so good, challenging, whatever those seasons of relationship is. And I think we have to be careful, that we're not in friendships or relationships that are all one side where if I'm always calling you to care for me, but I'm never available when you need care, then we're not applying this particular principle.
Yeah, if I view friendship through the lens of your existence in my life exists for my productivity and your productivity, or just mine, that's called a transactional relationship.
Yeah.
When we say presence, that yes, it requires time.
Yeah.
But first, it requires that I value you.
Yeah. Yeah.
As somebody who is a co-laborer.
Yeah.
Who I've linked up with.
Yeah.
Who work. Right, I value your presence in my life.
Yeah. Whatever
comes out of that.
Right.
I just value your presence in my life. And so you see that in Jesus' life with in the ministry with the disciples, where he was like, let's get away from the crowds. Yeah. Let's just go over here and sit
away. Yep.
Yeah, let's go be still and just us. And and there was these moments where it was just, well, what did he do? The Bible actually doesn't. They just went and sat. They just went and hung out. Right? Like, there is this intentionality to go, I value you. Not what you can do for me.
Right. Just you.
And we live, and I'm going to be honest with you, in vocational ministry, people are very guilty of this. Let me say that another way. In vocational ministry, people are sinfully guilty of this.
Yes.
And that is that my relationship with you revolves around what you can do for me.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that that's pathetic.
Now,
it's okay to be in some collaborative relationships where we partner up to get stuff done.
Sure.
But don't call that friendship.
Right.
You know, call it what it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's a project.
Yeah. You know,
there's nothing wrong with projects. Those aren't sinful.
Right.
But to go, I'm just gonna put this glossy thing called friendship on the top of something else, is to dilute it and to make it ugly.
Yeah. And then you can't distinguish real authentic relationship when it's in your presence. No. One of the things, like, I love, like,
why so many pastors don't trust each other.
Exactly. And I love, like, we talked the other day, it's like, hey man, when we get on the porch again, that is the deal of us saying we value the presence, being in presence with one another. So I love that. So friends, they prioritize presence over productivity was number 2.
Friends don't have to qualify to receive quality. In other words, you don't have to perform or put your best foot forward to get the best from the other friend.
And I want you to build on that, but can I just say, let's be honest, let's be honest. For leaders, that's hard, because what that means is that requires a level of vulnerability. I got to be vulnerable. Like, we love to put our best face on, but if I don't have to qualify to get quality, I don't have to perform. Yeah, there's freedom in that once I get there, but the process to get there, if we're honest, sometimes it's painful.
Yeah.
Because it requires me to not be my best self in front of you.
Yeah, well, that's because nobody wants to follow weakness.
Yeah.
And in when we're talking in leadership circles, whether it's ministry or business or whatever it may be, sports or military, it doesn't matter. But when you're talking about leadership culture, nobody wants to follow weakness.
Right.
And so there is something about in our minds where we go, oh, so therefore I can't project any weakness.
Yeah.
Or else it will dilute my influence.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I actually think the opposite's true.
Yeah.
I actually think Paul became more influential the more transparent he got.
Yes.
It wasn't at the beginning of his life or ministry that he wrote, I am the chief among all sinners.
Right.
He said that after he had been saved 25, 30 years.
Yes. Yeah.
He's going, man, the closer I get to the light of Jesus, the more dirt I see on myself.
Yeah.
Like, he became more transparent, more vulnerable. And so I think
that's rich. He said the good I would do, I don't do it.
Yeah.
I want to do it, but that good, he's I want to do it, but I don't do it.
Yeah, he was very honest about the conflict between his motivation and his action.
Yes.
But that's the thing is, if it's a friendship, that's why if it's a project, it's a project.
Yeah.
If it's a relationship to get this thing done or that thing done, okay. But if it's a friendship, you have to show your weakness.
Yeah.
If it's a friendship, you don't have to put your best foot forward always.
Yeah.
If it's your friendship, you can go to a friend and go, hey, I kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Or, man, I'm just I didn't mess up, but man, I just like the weight of something right now is heavy, and I just don't feel like I'm an awesome dad or an awesome husband or not. Like a friend should be able to tell another friend, I feel like I wake up in darkness, and that friend, not run away from them.
Yeah. And I think, Brent, and we'll get to number 3 here, but I think the reason why, and this is just a very subjective statement, an opinionated statement, I acknowledge that, but I think the reason why we have not all, but a lot of the moral failure that we see, experience, and we've had to help people navigate through is because they live in isolation or not real, true friendship community, like not deep, authentic. Like we say it, but when the rubber meets the road for us to really kind of be vulnerable and honest, and so that leads to a place of isolation, which is counterintuitive, what we're talking about right here, which then now it breeds a life of secrecy, which ultimately ends up in sin. What do we know happens? Your sin is going to find, it's going to make its way of exposing itself, and others going to see that. And it's like, man, but if we would leverage off the qualities of authentic friendship, these characteristics, then it kind of puts those safety nets around us, and stuff. And so, but number 3, man, number 3 is this. I love this, is friends seek to understand before being understood. And that the one word that requires is communication. And also trust, and believing like, hey, let me hear your heart. Like, hey, more so than me wanting to be right, I want to make sure you feel heard, and I think then in a great friendship, man, you want to be in a place where you're saying, hey, let me understand where you're coming from, even if, hey, we end up agreeing to disagree, or I may not fully understand fully what you're saying, or even agree. I want to hear what you have to say. I think that in friendship, we think when we talk about this, it's about, man, we're going to always agree. We're not going to have hard conversations. No, but I think there has to be this willingness to say, man, I want to understand your position. I want to understand your perspective. I want to understand, especially if there is some type of tension point that is there. And I think a lot of times what we do is we want to be understood, or let's say it this way, we want to always win and be right, more so than hearing the perspective of our friend.
I find it fascinating how the Apostle Paul begins 2 Timothy. After he gets to the first 2 verses, of kind of opening whatever, his typical greeting, he goes through in verse 3 through 5, and he just spends some time encouraging Timothy. And he knows this is the last letter he'll ever write.
He's about to die.
And what he does is he makes sure, tells Timothy, like, I'm mindful of your tears. Tells Timothy, also the faith that existed in your mother and your grandmother, I'm convinced, he says, it exists in you also. He calls it a sincere faith. Yeah,
that's true.
My favorite translation of that is an unhypocritical faith. I love that phrase. So he tells Timothy he's praying for him night and day. Uses hyperbole there. Is he praying all day, every day, and all night? No, but he's using hyperbolic language to express how Timothy is a priority to him. So what he does is he knows Timothy. He knows Timothy is aware. They'll not physically see each other again. In fact, Luke would probably be the one that would deliver
the message,
this letter to Timothy, because Luke in the Bible, because Paul would write at the end, Luke alone is with me, and so Luke's going to be entrusted with this letter. Can you imagine? Timothy has known Paul for half his life, uses paternal language to refer to Paul. Paul uses paternal language to talk about Timothy as his son. Like, there is a very significant relationship here. And then could you imagine being Timothy and you see coming down the road one day Luke, and he's holding something, and you go, before he even gives you that that parchment that you just know, like he's Luke's silhouette on the horizon communicates to you, Paul is now with Jesus.
He's no longer with us,
and so that was wrapped up in those first several verses.
God, that's good. That's good perspective.
And there's, I wrote this statement down, and I know it's not manly to say it this way, but here's what Paul did for Timothy. He says, I hear the way you feel. In other words, I've understood it.
Yeah,
understand
that's good.
what you're feeling. I'm mindful
I see that perspective.
of your
I see your perspective. Yeah.
I'm mindful. So mindful speaks to I
hear.
I know what here it is in here. I hear it. I hear. I'm verbalizing that I know how you feel. I hear the way you feel, and so
wow.
So yeah, I think that there's really something to being a listener before a talker. I think there's really something to having the patience to understand somebody's context. I mean, you and I, Jeff, our friendship is long and deep, but the truth of the matter is, I've had to be able to ask you some really difficult questions,
and vice versa. We both
about issues of that have poked their heads up in our country culturally.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember one of our first conversations where I had the freedom to ask that question was there had been an event in our country, and we were in a hotel, and Al Sharpton was coming to the hotel, so it was like our SLU 101 students, and the whole rest of the hotel was a rally around this tragic event that had happened, and Al Sharpton was there too. And so I called you, and I'm like, I just don't want to pass people in the hall.
Yeah.
Like, what would the gospel lead us to do in this moment?
Yeah.
And I asked you, I said, as a black man, as somebody who knows what that person thinking that I'm passing in the hall, like what? And you walked me through like 4 or 5 things to do.
Yeah.
And it was just but that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I was doing a little bit of the talking at first, yes, but it was to go, hey, I'm expressing to you that I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Help me understand.
Yeah.
And that posture is not just vital to begin a friendship or to learn something. It's vital to sustain a friendship.
Yeah.
I'm always seeking to understand you.
Yeah, and vice versa, man. I think that's the beauty of authentic friendship, and that's the difference between whether you decide with this relationship, whether I'm going to snorkel or I'm going to scuba dive. Like how deep are we going with this? And shallow relationships or association, we snorkel. We just kick our feet in the water. We're not really going deep. We're not really trying to be vulnerable. Everything is surface. But if I'm scuba diving, man, hey, we're gonna go deep here. It's gonna require some things. And so I appreciate that about our friendship, of the fact that it's mutual. Like back for, I'm like, man, and when you get to be in community with somebody that you not just respect and admire, but you learn from, you become a better human being because of that. That's when it's God ordained, God sent, and it's something that you want to cultivate and preserve because of the value it has in your life.
And I want to make sure it's and maybe I don't know where this impulse comes in my mind, but I want to make sure I'm not always just asking you about, hey, there's a racism issue in our country.
No.
Most of my questions to you have been about, like, I want to be a good husband, and I want to be a good father.
Same.
How did you deal with this?
Yeah.
Or what are you struggling with?
Yeah.
Or what, it's not.
Let me just hear I'll say it for ladies and gentlemen. Brent and I don't just have ebony and ivory questions. Like we don't just talk about. Just like, hey, how's Black America today? How's White America today? That is not. We have
still white.
I'm still black.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know what that impulse is to want to clarify that.
Sadly, it's the culture we live in. You got to qualify. But no, I appreciate that. But no, but there is some multiplicity of things that as husbands, fathers, leaders, followers of Jesus, like, man, we're asking one another these questions. And I think that is the beauty, I believe, one of the many beauties of our friendship.
Yeah. Number 4, last one, and this is where we'll land the plane.
Yeah.
Friends are quick to set aside self in order to sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I think the people who should just be like, and sacrifice comes in a lot of different forms.
Yeah.
But the people who show up first, should be your friends.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are like, oh, you're coming after him, you got to go through me.
Yeah, man.
Or, man, my brother's down.
Yeah.
I got their back.
Yeah.
Or they, you know, to me, one of the great, if somebody were to say something bad about me in front of you, even if it were true,
yeah. Hey, listen,
you would you would be like, no.
It's a joke in our office and stuff, and so because
you know what I'm saying? That's sacrifice.
Yeah,
I'm first.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put myself for.
Yeah,
you know, when I think of sacrifice, I think of somebody who puts themselves in harm's way.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
like a friend goes, I'm a protector. Remember that doctor and patient thing?
Yes, I'm a protector. Yeah.
So
yeah. And to Finkel, right? Finkel, the author of the book. Is it Finkel? How you pronounce it?
Man's Search for Meaning.
But the author, or the character,
gosh.
is it Finkel?
No.
Finkel? Oh, I know.
Now I'm lost.
Yes.
I quoted at the beginning.
Yes.
No, you keep talking. I'll get it.
Well, so the whole purpose, when we talk about sacrifice, he could have escaped.
Yes.
And so there was a
Frankel.
Frankl. Thank you. Sorry, Frankel. And so Frankel made a sacrifice self to stay with the patient. I say all that, say that, you know, that was an example of that, of like, hey, this might be good for me, but what's good for the patient? And as a friend, I am sacrificing what's good for me because I want to make sure that I'm here present to care for the patient.
Yeah.
And I think that, man, if you don't have I will go as far as say, man, if you're always the one sacrificing and the other person isn't,
that's a transactional relationship.
It's a very transactional relationship. And so I hope.
Or an abusive relationship.
Come on. Listen. Yeah.
Different topic for a different day.
Right. But I think the beauty of this, what I've loved, Brent, about this conversation, and it's no secret. I mean, people who know us know the depth of our relationship and just the way our families just love one another. We're family and stuff. And I think that's so amazing. And what I love about what we just went through, these 4 characteristics, is they're not 4 statements we read or we've just read, but there are 4 characteristics that we are currently living out. Yeah. And so, and I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that if you have some friends, that you'll assess those friendships and like, hey, man, and you're looking at these 4 characteristics, or listening, these 4 characteristics, maybe you'll assess those relationships like, hey.
I would say there's two actions, practical steps. If you don't have this type of friendship in your life, then I would say 2 things. Number 1, make sure that these characteristics are true of you. First, are you the type of person that values presence? Are you the person that's going to give quality? Somebody doesn't have to qualify to get the best of you. Yeah. Are you the person that's quick to understand? Not quick to assume, not quick to want to be understood, but to understand first. And are you the person that's quick to sacrifice? So first and foremost, make sure those characteristics are true of you. But then secondly, and I mean this is not a trite Sunday school statement, ask God for it.
Yeah, man.
All good things come from the Father of lights. So the truth is, a friend is a heavenly gift. So ask God for this type of friendship. And what I truly believe in my heart is sometimes we don't get to those deeper level of friendships because we don't want to go through the process of becoming that type of friend ourselves. And so
that's good. That's great.
2 separate things. 1, be this type of friend.
Yeah.
And 2, ask God to provide this type of friend.
So good.
And I think you'll be blessed for it. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
It's been an awesome conversation.
Yep.
And I hope it's been a blessing to you as well. Until we meet again, wander well and shine like stars.
Take care, guys.